Welcome to Trojans Live, the exclusive USC Trojans coaches show.
Caleb fakes the handoff to Austin Jones. He's going to go big. Looking long for Brendan Rice. He's got it. Touchdown USC.
With behind-the-scenes insights and breaking news from the student athletes who play for the Cardinal and Gold.
Williams will keep. He'll run it to the 20, to the 15, down to the 10, 5, and into the end zone. Touchdown USC. How do you do?
Trojans Live is presented by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Now, live from Los Angeles, here are your hosts, Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Max Brown.
Hello and welcome to Trojans Live, presented by Monster Energy on AM 790 KBC and across the USC Trojans Media Network, live on YouTube. Appreciate everyone joining us on a Monday. We are halfway home here. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, the head coach, Lincoln Riley. USC's head coach interview is presented by iTrust Capital, the official crypto platform of the USC Trojans. The Trojans sit at 6-0 in the halfway point in the regular season. Coach, how do you feel about your team headed into the second half?
Excited. You know, there's this is kind of what you work all year for, and I think it's something that we've pointed to ever since our season ended last year. We've pointed to this second half of the year and the opportunities that come with that, and the responsibility I think on us to do everything we can to play our best ball. You know, we're halfway through. We've put ourselves, one loss record, we put ourselves in the best position you possibly could be with everything in front of us. And now it's time to go seize it, right? Now it's time to go play your best ball. It's time to really rise. And I think we sense the opportunity, and it's obviously going to be a fun ride here, man. It really is. It's a great second half of the schedule. A lot of really good football teams, a lot of really good games here coming up. Obviously, starting off with the rivalry game here on the road that we're very excited to go play. So, yeah, if you're a competitor, this is what you love, man. Like the second half of the year, right in the middle of the hunt, it's a perfect spot to be in.
Coach, on Saturday, first time this year, team didn't get out to an early lead, didn't jump out. What was your rationale after watching the team? You think was it an energy thing, a game calling thing? What do you think it was on the Saturday that started with a slow start?
A little bit of everything. That's my responsibility first and foremost to have the team ready, and looking back at it, it's hard to say that we were ready to play at a high level. We got some made some mistakes early. Obviously, like you said, didn't get off to a fast start, and we had a little bit of a hard time flipping it. And really slow start offensively. Really pretty pathetic early, honestly. And and obviously that's where we ended up. We ended up in a hole, and you look up, pretty quick, and it's 17-0, and you're not playing very well on either side of the ball. And those are tough moments, man. We haven't been in that hole very much, and when you get in it, it's difficult to dig your way out. And we gave the guys a stat today, kind of from our analytics of the percentage of time that teams are down 17 or more points and actually come back and win the game is shockingly low, shockingly low. And so it's really, really difficult to do. And so for us to be able to get the momentum back there in the second quarter was really important. I think the Jacoby Covington interception and some of the stops defensively, I thought really energized our entire team there. We were finally able to start to show a little bit of life offensively, and to be able to get, go in at halftime with that game pretty close was a big win there in the second quarter. And then, we just kind of traded blows there in the second half. Felt like a couple of times we were getting ready to separate, and obviously had a good opportunity to win it right there at the end of regulation. But it's why you can't write the script before these things happen. Like, you got to stay in the moment. You got to keep swinging. And the reality is, there's two sides to this. It's, we're disappointed that we felt like we basically just squandered the entire first quarter as a football team. And you can't do that against good teams. That team right there lost a game at Mississippi State where the quarterback threw 4 interceptions and lost a game in overtime on the road, and then had a really good chance to beat a really good Washington team last week. So, you're playing a good team and you don't show up for a quarter, that's what the scoreboard's going to look like, and you have to scratch and claw your way out of it. And damned if we didn't. We did. We scrapped. It was not nearly as clean as we want to play. There was a lot of things that we need to do better, but it was cool to see the culture of the group. It was cool to see the guys kind of bond together and just really stay with it and keep swinging, and made enough plays in the end to get it done.
And it was cool to see Caleb kind of get the guys together, and that jumps out to me this year of he's been special his whole time at USC. But from the leadership perspective, I don't know if that edge jumped out to me last year of him really getting the guys together and some of the passion that we even saw post game at the press conference. How have you seen his leadership evolve since his first day of college with you guys, and just how he's grown in that department and that edge that he seems to have this season?
It was good to see. It was, because sometimes that's easier to do when, maybe if, team's not playing well or guys around you maybe not playing well, but you're still, playing at a fairly high level. He certainly wasn't having his best game. Mm-hmm. But as a quarterback and as a leader, even when you're not at your best, you still have to influence a team, right? You still have a responsibility beyond just your play. And that is to lead, that is to inspire, to continue to push these guys, because you do. He's been through enough of these now to know what the outside world sometimes forgets. Like, you just got to find a way to win these suckers, man. Like, especially when you're not at your best, and you got to be able to pull that out of the guys as a leader. And I thought him and some of our other leaders really step up and kept the group together, because that's one that very easily you could just let get away from you. And the thing I know I said it after, but I've been a part of a few like that where you don't start off well and then you get the momentum and you just ride it out the whole way, and you come back and you end up winning by 21 points. Those are fun. Those are great. They're still hard to do too. One of the toughest things is psychologically, you're down, okay? You make a comeback. You feel like you got all the momentum, and then they hit back, and then you kind of lose it. Then you got to get it back again. You lose it, you got to get it back again. And so I think just to see the character of our guys as we went through all that, I thought was really key, and a credit to all of our leaders.
And you mentioned the Jacoby Covington pick. That was sort of the first turning point to get that emotion going in your favor. And it did seem like the defense kind of settled into the game faster than the offense did. What was overall the turning point for the defense that allowed them to recover after their start?
Yeah, I think the Covington pick, it energized us. And I think, going back and watching the film, and our coaches knew right away. I mean, the couple of plays that they got on us early were like, we had the perfect call. I mean, we were like dead to rights. If you were on the Arizona coach's headset and knew exactly what you wanted to call, like, we were in it. And I think our coaches knew it, our players knew it, and we made just a few dumb mistakes that opened up big plays. And so I think there was a sense of confidence on that side of the ball. Even though we'd given up a few points, we had the red zone stop. We gave up the two that we absolutely should not have given up. But I think they really felt it, and you could tell. They get the stop or get the ball, had the long play, we turn it over, and then it was cool to see our defense go back and get it right back. And then they really held serve there, because we didn't really, the offense didn't really find real footing until the second half, honestly. We got a couple in there at the end of the first half, but certainly still didn't play quite up to the standard we would expect.
Coach, from a physicality standpoint, going back and watching the game, I thought Arizona came out, they were ready to play. They really took you that first punch, and I thought they threw it both on the offensive line and defensive line. But it looked like the guys, as the game went on, maybe in the second half, they came and they matched the physicality. What was the start for the slow start for that, and then how did you get them to turn this thing around and say, hey, guys, we got to match this phicality because Arizona's here. They're playing hard.
Yeah, you're right. No, they hit us in the mouth first. There's no question about it. And our guys weren't ready, and it obviously showed, and we had to get ready pretty quick. Like you said, I thought that did flip. Certainly in the second half, I thought we started getting to the quarterback some. We started hitting him, affecting him some. Had some big sacks, and when we started obviously being able to run the ball much better when we get off to a slow start there. I thought the physicality ramped up as the game went on. Guys rose to the occasion, but that's something that obviously has a start at the beginning.
Coach, I want to ask you about the 2-point play call in triple overtime. Like, rewind, where does that even come from? I'd never even seen that formation. It felt like an isolation and almost a pick-up basketball game kind of thing, but like tracing the thread all the way back, like, where does that idea even come from?
Yeah, it was something we kind of drew up in the staff room that we thought had a chance, and we worked it a little bit throughout the year. And that's kind of what you get those ready for, is a game like that where all of a sudden you need a lot of calls down there. And we had already had a few goal line snaps after they reversed the Michael Jackson touchdown. And so, all of a sudden you've gone through a lot of plays at that point, and you're at a 2-point shootout, and who knows how many you're going to have, right? And so we had confidence in it. And it is. It's simply kind of an isolation play and a chance to get our guys out in space. I actually think we would have thrown the ball, but we ended up kind of tripping over ourselves and falling on the route. I don't think Caleb should have had to run it in based on what happened, but that is part of the thought process, is you do create some space and get a good athlete out there and let him go to work.
Well, there's a big one coming up on Saturday night. The Trojans are headed to South Bend, the greatest intersectional rivalry in college football, USC versus Notre Dame. It'll kick at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time on NBC and right here on the USC Trojans Media Network. Our show will go on at 2:30, getting you ready for that one. It'll be 7:30 where we are in South Bend. We'll talk to Coach about that next. Monster Energy, the official energy drink of USC. Unleash the Beast, and Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football. More Trojans Live to come.
From the comfort of your car, it's Trojans Live on your home for Trojans football, AM 790 KABC.
Hey, Trojan fans, did you know the Ralph's app gives you easy access to weekly sales and personalized coupons, and you can earn fuel points too? Check out the app today and save while you cheer us on to another great season. Ralph's, proud partner of USC Athletics. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, the head coach, Lincoln Riley. Appreciate you taking a second segment with us here as we get into Notre Dame. Always one of the favorite weeks of the year. Been going on for a very long time. It'll be your first trip to South Bend as the USC head coach. What do you see from the Irish when you take a look at them on film? They are very difficult to beat in that stadium. We know that.
Yeah. So it'd been a while since it's happened for the Trojans. So great challenge for us. We've enjoyed watching them, man. They're a good team. I mean, they're obviously playing at a high level defensively again, like they did last season. Return a lot of familiar faces. I mean, they're one of the older defenses that will play. Seniors all over the place, a lot of experience. And again, a few different guys on the front. They graduated a couple of the really good players there, but still playing at a high level, and they've been effective. Some really good players in the secondary. The two linebackers are the same guys that we played against last year. They're both really good players. So, and then obviously the transfer quarterbacks come in and done overall a really nice job for them. They've moved the ball efficiently. He's played very well. A few new people in the supporting cast, certainly at the receiver position. Obviously lost a great tight end from last year, but still featuring the tight end prominently in the throw game like they always tend to do. And, big physical offensive line, kind of what you come to expect out of playing in Notre Dame. So, yeah, it'll be a good challenge. I mean, like it should be, right? And great chance to go on the road, play a rivalry game. These are always obviously very special. I've never had a chance to go up there, so this is going up there as a USC Trojan for the first time feels right.
Coach, when you get in one of these rivalry games, do you like to, as a coach, kind of tell the guys about the history of the game, or are you just trying to keep it to this is our year, this is the year we'll concentrate on, or do you make it like all right, we've got, in 56 we did this and they did that, or do you just keep it, this is the year?
More of B for sure. I'm a little bit more just about the game, but I have tried to. We did a little bit last year before the game. We'll do a little bit this year just to give them a taste of the history. Like I don't want us to focus on that, but I don't want us to just completely miss it and not understand it either, right? Like this is an important game to college football. Like this is one of those games for the guys that you'll remember for the rest of your lives. That's how these games go, and I think you do need to understand what a privilege it is to play in this game where so many other great teams and players have been a part of. And it's been such a nationally relevant game for a long, long time, and it always will be. And so I think anytime you sign up, whether to come play at USC or come coach at USC, you're thinking about getting a chance to compete in this game. And so here it is for us.
I remember my first trip to South Bend. It was really kind of my first intro to the environments in college football. It was Coach Kiff getting off the bus and an old lady like getting on his case with Ed Orgeron behind him, like hooting and hollering back. And it just kind of set the tone for what this rivalry is, what road atmospheres are. I'm sure you have, maybe not exactly Ed Orgeron experiences, but experiences like that, getting off the bus. Is there one that sticks out, and what are you looking forward to most just going into that environment?
Road environments as far as getting off the bus, there's some interesting ones. I mean, OU Texas is an experience. That one certainly is. I mean, pulling into the state fair and just all the hype around that game is a lot of fun. We played a road game up at Tennessee a few years ago, and we were both pretty highly ranked. It was an early primetime road game, and they kind of drop you off strategically, right in the middle of all their fans, and they know you're coming. We'll put it that way. So yeah, it was fun, man. Like you got to love that stuff, man. Like to me, the nastier, the more kind of fire around these rivalries, like the smaller and crappier the locker room is, like that's what it's all about, man. Like I love every part of that, and so yeah, you got to embrace it. And I know this one will be a fun one.
I got some text today that apparently the weather's not going to be so good. Do you monitor that closely? Do you guys do wet ball drills and things like that if you see a forecast that might call for rain? Yeah,
we're always aware of it. It's something we practice throughout the year. Fortunately we did have a pretty rainy year in Southern California, as we all know, and so we had a lot of good opportunities to work in the elements this spring. We took advantage of it, which was. Now looking back on it, probably I think well played on our part. So yeah, listen, if conditions are a factor, you got to be ready to adjust, right? It's football, that's part of it. It can change the game in some ways, and so hopefully we'll be able to handle it well.
Coach, early in the week, but what's your take on the team's mood and kind of like how's their temperament right now? After you played a couple games here where you didn't play 4 quarters of football the way you like probably, and are they feeling feisty to you? Or are they feeling like we haven't played our best and we still got a lot to show? Is that the sense that you kind of get?
For sure, 1,000%. Yep. I mean, I think they're excited about the wins, but they know that we have a lot left out there in terms of obviously what's in front of us. We have everything out there, but I think also just in terms of really how good this team can be,
your potential,
and exactly right, and reaching our potential. And they absolutely seem feisty. They have an edge. I think they sense the opportunity. Now it's time to rise up and go get it.
Yep.
Going back to last game, one scenario at the end of regulation, obviously you wish the field goal would have gone differently, but what goes into that decision late in the game where you got a defense that might be letting you score? Do you take that score? Do you settle down, run the ball? Do you need the ball? Like, what are those conversations like? How do you unbreak or unpack that decision? Even more so watching the film after the fact of maybe self-assessment during that time.
Yeah, no, it was interesting because we could tell on the first play that where we threw the ball, which we should not have done. I mean, that was we got a little lost in the moment there. But we could tell they were going to surrender. And so, I mean, we called literally exactly the same play.
Is that a D-line temperament
time.
or like how can you?
You could just tell, standing on the sideline, you just tell they weren't like actively engaging the blocks. And we were talking on the headphones like they might surrender here. So, yeah, and on the second play, we actually were going to take a knee. We called it, and Caleb just got to do a little bit better job understanding the situation. He saw what he thought was a pull and thought he was going to go score, and that's what you love. I mean, great players, typically they want it in their hands at the end. I mean, that's just kind of that's how he's wired. But got to know in that situation to hand it off, and then the back, the plan was the back to take a knee there at the 1 yard line, and with the timeout, I mean, you weren't obviously as concerned. Obviously concerned with the ball on the ground, but I mean, knowing that we had the timeout, we were going to take that regardless. But obviously, would like for that to have been a little bit cleaner at the end.
Well, the Trojans got it done on Saturday night, and they'll look to do it again this Saturday in South Bend, USC versus Notre Dame. That'll be a 4:30 p.m. Pacific time kick, and I'm sure you will all be watching and listening. When you've got good beer and good vibes, it's all Buena. Stone Buena Vesa Salt and Lime Lager is Baja-inspired and imported from San Diego, located near you at findoutstonebrewing.com. And when we come back, we will have Jalen Smith on Trojans Live.
And fun for the whole family. It's all inside Trojan Fan Fest, presented by Life Law Injury Lawyers, proud supporter and official sponsor of the USC Trojans.
It's like getting a degree in Trojan athletics without the tuition. It's Trojans Live on your home for Trojans football, AM 790 KABC.
Back on Trojans Live, the best in the game is brought to you by Old Dominion Freight Line, official freight carrier of USC Athletics, helping the world keep promises.
obviously leading the team in tackles, but you're in that box, man. You're making plays. It's physical in there. Talk about getting in there with the big uglies in there, making it happen.
Oh man, it's a little foggy in there, man. But once you see through the fog, man, and you see the ball carrier, man, you know it's hunt and go get it, man. Yeah. So just preaching, you know, making tackle, come up with a body part, flying around, and think this is how I play. I think fast and I just react. I think less, so I just react. So I think that's been my motto going into this year, just to play fast and think less.
One of the best players to play your spot in the USC uniforms, a guy we cross paths with a bunch, Sua Cravens.
Oh, my God.
And I remember when I was his roommate freshman year, he always would he'd always be like, no, I'm a safety. I'm not a linebacker. I'm a safety. I'll do this whole, like, in the box thing, but I'm a safety.
No, fact.
And it feels like now the narrative around the nickel's switched where, like, you can make an argument that's the most important position on the defense and whatnot. Where do you net out on being, like, a box safety and being a guy that's not more of a run game guy, but that being a big part of your game?
Well, I try to work on both. I try to work on both. And it depends on game plan-wise. You know, if we got a run-heavy team, you know, just – to be more efficient in my run fits and my tracking and all that type of stuff, and make sure to not run past the ball, leverage, you know, that all plays a big part. And then, you know, receiver-wise, you always got to be ready to cover guys and to be ready to flip hips and, you know, get open, watch the quarterback's eyes. So, I mean, just always to be cognizant of that. You know, can't be too focused on the run fit. You know, always got to be cognizant of the pass fit. You know, whatever's in front of me, something's behind me. So, you know, just always to think about the little things like that can, you know, help my game, you know.
That was an emotional win on Saturday night. I talked to Kalen right on the field after it. What was your takeaway from that game?
Oh, man, it was probably the longest game I've ever played. I'd obviously say 3 overtimes. I mean, kind of got lost with the rule count and what kind of had to transpire. But once we had one plays, you know, it kind of went back to practice, man. You know, Wednesday practice we have, you know, we preach. You know, the longer we go, the better we get. So just embracing the struggle, man. I think we found our true identity within ourselves as we got later into the game. You know, guys started to realize, like, you know, it's us. Like, when we make a stop, you know, get off the field, you know, game over, you know. So, I mean, having that power and that confidence, you know, going in and out, day in and day out, that, you know, we work for it. And, you know, we're building a conference over the week, man. So just every week, just getting better and getting better. That's it.
Yeah, the identity of this football team the last year and a half or so has been offense, right? And this, everyone looks at USC and thinks offense. But on Saturday, I thought this defense really took strides. I don't think you guys came out with the right energy, maybe, but once it starts turning, like you said, in that second half, you put the onus on you guys. And you guys really made the plays to allow the offense to get out there and get the stops that you needed. What's it like as a defense when you can do those kind of things, and you can point to those things like, hey, this is not just an offense team. We can lead this thing as a defense.
It's motivation, man. You know, it's motivation, and it's a testimony to hard work. You know, guys like Mason coming into the huddle, you know, telling us, like, we could do it, man. You know, linemen, like, one extra step, man, get to the quarterback. You know, the back end got you. You know, just a little motivation, things like that in the moment, in the heat of the battle, to where, you know, people, you know, our teammates need that, you know, try to huffing and puffing. You know, I got your back, man. Like, you know, just the motivational speeches like that, and just finding the confidence in it, man, knowing that, you know, coming up when we make plays and coming up short and stuff like that, it's okay. Just knowing that, you know, next play mentality, and just having the people out there that, you know, all 11 on the same page, I think that's ultimately been helping us.
You're probably the one dude on this team that has to make the biggest mental shift, going from covering Jacob Cowing in Arizona, one of the best little receivers in the country, to now Notre Dame, where it's tight ends and it's, you know, just a totally different responsibility for you week in to week out. How do you approach that mindset shift? And I guess how big of a difference is that for week from last week to this week?
I think, you know, Notre Dame's a really good team, you know, big body guys, you know, tight ends. They want to get their hands on you, be physical. So coming in out with that mindset, you know, I got to come with my helmet strapped up, ready to go, man. I think that's the mindset. Just ready to go, man. Ready to set violent leverages, man, make plays. That's it.
Love it. You're listening to Jalen Smith on Trojans Live. Jalen, I didn't realize this, but your first career start came 2 years ago at Notre Dame. Starts are weird in football. Like, you know, so
Especially at nickel position. You don't know if you're base,
and
nickel, or goal
the
line.
personnel on the field. I mean, it could be anyone in terms of who's actually out there first. But your official start came at Notre Dame. But it means that you had experience playing in that atmosphere. What do you take from that 2 years later? What do you tell your teammates that haven't been if they ask you what it's like?
Oh man, it's a different experience, man. It's different, but it's so loud, and it's so spacious. But it's a great environment, man. You're gonna love to play there. I mean, my first start there, man, I was a little nervous, going out there. But overall, man, when I made my first tackle, I'm like, oh, it's just football, man. We back to high school days, man. So just take it day by day, one play at a time, man. We gonna be good.
All right, well, we can't wait to see you out there on Saturday night. USC looking for its first win in South Bend since 2011, so it's been a little bit too long here for the Trojans. It's time to go into Notre Dame and get a dub. We'll see if they can do it. Don't wait until game time to plan for retirement. Open your free iTrust Capital account today and get your crypto IRA. iTrust Capital is the official cryptocurrency platform of the USC Trojans. All right, well, when the football team is away, the swim team will be at home this week. Mina Abraham is next to tell us about it on Trojans Live.
Trojans Live on your home for Trojans football. AM 790 KABC.
The Women's Spotlight is brought to you by Sprouts Farmers Market. Open 7 days a week. Visit your neighborhood Sprouts for good-for-you groceries and great prices on the freshest produce. Mina Abraham joins us now. She's a freshman on the USC swim team. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown. Good to meet you, Mina. Welcome. You're just getting started here at USC. You're from Hungary. What brought you to USC?
Well, thank you for having me. And I think, next to the excellent sports that USC has, I think academics is also very important to me, and that's why I think USC has an excellent balance. That was a huge plus for me, and I came here for a visit, and I instantly connected with the team, and every day since then, I'm like, I made the right choice. Like, I'm here. This is the best team I can possibly be on.
You guys just opened up the season. Take us through the last meet and how it went for you.
Yeah, so we were in Dallas this last weekend. It was like our first meet, and it was incredible. It was really fun. It was like us cheering on the others, just swimming there, hearing our team, hearing my team go like, yeah, let's go, Mina, and then supporting each other. I think that was the best part, and just being there for each other.
I know on the football side of things, like the first game, it's night and day different relative to like your high school ranks. Just the whole atmosphere, the speed of the game, everything. Is that the case in swimming as well, or is it just maybe like more stands on the side rather than any differences truly in like the pool and whatnot?
It is very different from Hungary. Hungary, it's very individual, so it's like you and your coach, and it's your race only. And here, my coach also like, be invested in others. Like, you're swimming for something bigger than yourself. You're swimming for the team. And I think that's like a great feeling, even during training, when you're like, okay, I'm here for the team as well as myself. So you're working together to reach that big goal.
You're listening to Mina Abraham of USC Women's Swimming and Diving on Trojans Live. Mina, you're from Hungary. Katinka Hasu is obviously is as good a swimmer as USC has ever had. The Iron Lady, is that her nickname? The Iron Lady? Yes.
What a nickname.
Yeah, incredible, and just an incredible swimmer. What's your relationship with her? Does that have anything to do, her legacy here have anything to do with certainly your attraction to USC?
Yeah, it's huge that she's also a USC alumni. I think that's amazing. Like, even in the women's locker room, she has like a huge poster. It mentions all of her like titles, her All-Americans and all that. And it's great to see that every day. Last summer, I was lucky enough to swim on a relay with her at the European Championships, and it was kind of the end of her career and the start of mine. And that was also like from an idol to my own like teammate kind of. It was an incredible experience.
Mina, we have some swim novices on here that maybe we want to help coach up a little bit. You know, I know you're an IMer. You get out there, you can do all the strokes. Talk about your favorite stroke and what these guys should know about the IM and what makes it so difficult.
So the IM is a composition of all 4 strokes. It's butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle, and there's the 200 and 400. And I'm also kind of learning like the difference between them, because one's like very much a sprint and the other one's more pace.
Yep.
And it's a tough one. You gotta be the best in all strokes. There's no such thing as like a bad stroke in that. So
what's your favorite?
I'm leaning more towards freestyle, the more general, but I'm trying to work on the other strokes as well. Yeah.
What was your favorite, Sean, since you're just sitting here dying to tell us about your swim career?
This is about Mina, guys. Let's not make this about
fair enough.
Mina, go ahead, Max. Next question.
How do you have to like pace out your practice? Is it like always working on the worst of the strokes, the best of the stroke, and like double down? Is it even across the board? How do you split that up?
I think it's pretty even. Right now we're in the like work phase of our like season, and then the spring semester, like from January, we're more into taper, coming up to like the championships. And it's like we're focusing on details, so getting the little things right, because that's what adds up into creating like a perfect performance.
Paris 2024, is that up on the mirror every morning when you wake up? What's the goal?
Yeah, I actually I have Post-its stuck on my, like, I thumbtack them to the wall just above my desk, and it has the qualifications, the A cuts to some of the events. I also have like NCAA and Pac-12 times, and it's just something I'm like looking at each day and being like, that's what I'm training for. It's definitely a goal, and I want to be there in Paris.
From Hungary, how's your Los Angeles experience been so far? You having fun out here?
Yeah, I am. It's very different. I actually lived abroad for most of my life, so I only lived in Hungary for my high school years.
Okay.
But like, it is a big like cultural shock. I'm still getting used to, like, sometimes I feel like I'm reacting very differently to what people are reacting to things, and it's just like, oh, like, we don't see things eye to eye, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Those Post-its that you have, those reminders, what do you what are you focusing on in your training to make sure that, hey, if there's a certain area that you're trying to level up to make sure that you achieve those post-it goals?
Right now it's the details. That's what my coach keeps saying. Like, focus on be intentional with your swimming. And I think that's something I haven't been hearing back home. And it's like a new perspective to focus on the little things, to not just swim with power, but with technique. And even on the hard days, the days I don't want to go down to training, or I'm just like, I'd rather lay in bed, I keep reminding myself, like, what if these hard days comes around at the competitions? Like, I got to push through. I got to be there.
Well, good luck. Good luck this weekend. The USC Invitational. Come on down and check them out at Utangzu Friday and Saturday. And good luck on hitting all those posted goals. I like that you set it out there.
Thank you so much.
The Olympics are less than a year away, so pretty exciting. Want the inside scoop on this game and all things Trojans? Be sure to sign up for the 3 Torches presented by Smart and Final. It's a free newsletter. It'll hit your email inbox 3 times a week with game info, player insights, and more. Go to usctrojans.com/3torches and sign up. Our weekly football roundtable is next.
Good news. There's a Jersey Mike's coming to your...
Energy, the official energy drink of USC. Unleash the beast. Fight on Trojans and fly on with ONT. Ontario International Airport is a proud sponsor of our USC Trojans. Visit SoCalSoEasy.com to book your journey through ONT today. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, and Keely Yore joins us now for our weekly football roundtable. Plenty to talk about with this team. I had a blast on Saturday night. I'm sure it was too close for comfort for everyone involved, but it was a wild, fun game. What was your takeaway from it?
My first takeaway was that when it reached triple overtime, you turned to me and in your best broadcast voice, you were like, "It's time for PKs." And I was like, "Oh my God, this set the table." But it was wild. It was, my interns didn't know what was happening. It was wild. I didn't even know. I couldn't see what happened to Dennis Lynch at the end of the fourth. And I was like, why is everyone so upset? And then I was like, this is crazy. So a wild game for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure Arizona was 100% sure on the rules. I think they called a timeout because they didn't realize that the new overtime rules, and I think it was new for everybody. I think Jalen even alluded to it. He was just like, I wasn't entirely sure what was up, but it seemed like USC's coaches were ready and had a lot of 2-point plays.
Yeah, Jed Fish he admitted it. He said, I didn't realize he had to go to for 2 that early. My biggest takeaway, though, was I think you can have the frustrations a little bit with the defense, but also that's a game that USC loses under the last 4 head coaches and the last 4 cultures. And I don't think that's insignificant. I think that whole get down 17, get punched in the mouth again in the third quarter and whatnot, that's just a game USC loses in the past, and much rather win it and have things to correct rather than sitting here 5-1 and all pissed off.
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise to me was just they came out a little flat to me, and I thought after a Colorado game where they didn't play the Brandon ball all the way through the end of the game, they would have came out with some fire. Now, was that looking forward to Notre Dame? Was that late night start? I don't know. It just seemed a little flat. You watch the film and it's like obvious. It just jumps right out. Like Arizona was ready to go. They had a game plan. They had things in line. They knew exactly where they wanted to attack, and SC just kind of eased into it a little bit. And I didn't like to see that, but once it got going and you could see that they ratcheted up that energy, they started playing, they started firing on some cylinders. Offensively still kind of had some kinks all night, but defensively found a couple plays to make and get that one secured.
And that's why I'm excited about this week and then going forward, because now this team can maybe embrace a little. They're clearly being doubted. They drop in the rankings every week despite winning. Their fans are all over them on social media. I'm wondering now if they just sort of lean in a little bit to the underdog role. And you can't do that when you're favored by 21 every week, which they basically have been. They are the Vegas underdogs this week. They will be at different times in the second half of the season. People are sort of counting them out. I wonder if they can kind of lean into that and maybe take some of that pressure off of not just having to win, but having to win pretty, which they obviously have not been very good at the last couple.
And it seemed like that flip had kind of switched, at least in the the post-game press conference, because you could see Caleb getting a little upset by the questions that were being asked, and he jumped in on a question that Riley was fielding about USC's defense, and I think he wanted to say more, but he was like, "These guys are our brothers. This is why we were in this game. Like, this defense helped us out." And then Riley, the last thing he said when he got a question about the offense, he got a question about whether or not just yet. So count us out just yet. So I think they're starting to get a little frustrated, at least by the outside noise. And I know that's something that they say that they don't let it get inside internally, but it seems like, to your point,
but if
Jordan,
you can channel it, you want it sometimes
then
inside,
channel it,
I mean, that's what we've been seeing all over the country, right? I mean, Coach Prime's whole thing was taking the outside noise of everyone saying, "Oh, this is a joke. We're going to be a joke," and fueling them. Ohio State, when they went into Notre Dame, I don't even care what Lou Holtz has to say, but Ryan Day sure did, and he clearly used it to motivate his team. I mean, it's a fairly easy tactic to get guys going.
And it's interesting too, because you're going into a game where Notre Dame's coming off a loss, and if our defense is struggling from an outsider's perspective, Notre Dame's offense is struggling from an outsider's perspective, and they're getting heat there, and so. If they're still the favorite role and we're playing the underdog, that's great, even though they're having to figure out a bunch of their own offensive stuff. So that's a unique dynamic in this game where two storied programs, and when Notre Dame's offense rolls out there, both units are going to be doubted. And so if we can embrace that underdog mentality, maybe it allows that defense to play more free.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people have tried to divide this team, and when you look at a football team, you always think offense and defenses. But the good teams that I played on, it was just one team. It wasn't. We've always just looked at the offensive defense on this, but the main aspect, the main whole thing of this is to win this game, whether we do it offensively or defensively. Find a way to win this game, and I think they've done a good job. And you see where I think Caleb got frustrated is they see it as a team. They see it as we're all in this thing together. We're fighting. We're not offense. We're not defense. We're USC, and we want to win these games. And however we win them, it's how we do it. And that's, I think, think Coach Riley can use that as his, kind of motivating factor. Is like, hey, they're trying to divide us. They're trying to, pull us apart. Let's stick together. Let's take this thing on the road and show them we can finish this thing out this year how we want to do it.
They were really asked that offensive identity question.
Last to end the presser.
I mean, it never stops with that. But let me ask it's kind of a similar type question, but it's a spin on, because it was one I was thinking of, which is not about the offensive identity, but the team as a whole. Typically sometimes in sports you sort of see these bellwether things, right? If basketball, if so-and-so scores 10 points, the team is 8-0 kind of thing. Is there anything you've seen from this team so far where you're like, okay, if they run for 150 yards, I feel great about them. If they run for, if Caleb throws for 300, I feel great about them. They have kind of won in different ways so far, defensively, offensively. They haven't relied on turnovers. It just doesn't feel like they've relied on anything yet. I'm curious if there's something that you guys have picked up where you go, hey, that to me is like when I know things are good if X is happening.
I always point to the defensive line because it's easy for me to look at games and follow like when I mentioned the energy of the team or the intensity. It was me for just looking at the front and seeing how they were attacking, how they were playing. Were they just catching guys, or they're just kind of laissez-faire attitude instead of coming off guys and trying to smack people and getting shed in blocks? And it changed in the game, and I saw that. And that's always my kind of tell in offensive line, and how are they shooting out? How are they holding on to blocks? And that's always my bellwether, is just watching games, because I obviously Max is astute to watching the outside, and I kind of always break down games from the inside out. So I always watch that inside. If they're coming off and getting off blocks, I can usually tell the energy is right, and they're playing the brand of football I think that Lincoln Riley wants to play.
I'll double down on that. I feel like it's been a couple of weeks since we've talked about Bear Alexander, and those first few weeks when you felt Bear's presence, that's when you felt confident about the defense. And that's why we were sitting here saying, this is a defense that's taken strides. And we haven't necessarily said that the past few weeks because I feel like we haven't been saying Bear's name as much.
Yeah, I don't really have a bellwether yet. I really don't know. And it's funny because even in warm-ups, I try to get a sense of this team, and that hasn't even been a good indicator. So I thought that after ASU and Colorado, this team would be like, okay, we got close wins. Let's really, get this together.
Yeah.
Part of me feels like, okay, if it didn't happen against Arizona, it's going to need to happen against Notre Dame going into that environment, or else we might be talking about USC's first loss of the season.
And I kind of feel like they were searching for it. I think they're trying to find that. What are we on offense in that game? They were looking for it, and that's why I think Caleb was like, hey, wait a second. We don't know where it's going. The ball's in my hand. I'm going to start running it and figuring this thing out on the fly.
And it's what we talked about in the pregame show, right? We put up those stats of his first 5 games versus this year and last year, and we're noting that he was running a lot less. And one thing we talked about is when the chips were down, he would put his body on the line and just say, I got this. Because at the end of the day, again, to make the basketball comparison, you want the ball in your best player's hands at the end of the games, and that's how that game played out. I don't know that the ball ever came out of his hands. Austin Jones, I guess, ran in a touchdown late, but for the most part, the ball was in his hands late, and that's how it should be. This is his team to go down with or to go up.
And he wasn't having that Caleb Williams game, but the will to win I thought was impressive. Just, I'm going to win this game. I'm having a bad night. I'm a little bit off all night. Can't find my guys, but I'm going to win this game. How do I win this game? I'm going to carry the ball into the end zone.
That second touchdown, oh my gosh. Yeah. He looked like he was down, and suddenly he's up and going, and it was insane. It's just, he started the game with a touchdown, ended the game too. He's going to do it.
Yeah, we talk about people's sort of will metaphorically, but his physical will he put on the game with several runs, including the one I just saw a screenshot. Somebody screenshotted that play where literally he's facing the wrong way, guy's on his back on the 3-yard line, and the caption's like, he scored on this play.
Yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but he makes a lot of things work, even when they're not. And that was enough for the Trojans on Saturday night. All right, Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football. Our over-unders next on Trojans Live.
FuboTV.com. That's FUBOTV.com.
Covering all things SC.
Touchdown, USC!
It's Trojans Live on your home for Trojans football. AM 790 KABC.
One final segment of Trojans Live on a Monday night. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, and Keely Yore with you. We're fired up, guys. This is Notre Dame week. This is what we do this for. We'll all be, not Max, but the rest of us will be headed.
I'll be watching though.
We'll be headed to
In our
South
hearts.
Bend for what is always a classic game just to be a part of, but a very winnable game for the Trojans this year, even though they are technically underdogs in it. And as we mentioned, they haven't won it in South Bend since 2011. It is still a game that's there for the taking for them, and I'm sure that they'll feel that going in. And that leads me to my over-under, presented by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC Athletics. Okay, guys, the over-under is 30. That's the number.
Ooh.
The winning team will hold the losing team to over or under 30 points.
I'm going under 30 points. I think it's going to.
defense
Yeah,
guy.
I think defense is going to hold. I think it's going to be a slugfest a little bit. I think both teams. You're at the part of the season where both defensive coordinators have seen this offense a couple times, and they can last week they got a little gauge on what they can do, maybe ways to kind of slow these offenses down. And I think it'll be a slugfest, lower scoring affair.
I got over. Sam Hartman's a different deal at quarterback for Notre Dame than Drew Pine a year ago, and Caleb Williams, like we just talked about, special. So I think this is a game in the 30s or 40s.
I haven't done my prep yet, but I'm going to say under. I think the weather's going to make this kind of what Sean described, like a slugfest, lower scoring affair.
It's interesting. Correct me if I'm wrong. If Dennis Lynch, the field goal operation goes fine, they kick the short field goal. USC won 31-28, right?
Yes.
So it's, some of these things you go, oh, it's definitely over. And then you go, well, these things can happen in football a little bit. It's just because, USC average is 51.8. So if Notre Dame holds them to 28 points, that would be a heck of an accomplishment. But, the style of the game is going to feel different than this sort of classic Pac-12 shootout game that we've gotten used to the last couple of years.
It always does. And even my naive self when I was young and we were playing a brand of football and that was, trying to move the ball. And it just turns into like the rivalry for some reason just gets more gritty. It was like this in UCLA, the Notre Dame game. It didn't matter what both teams were, coming into the game. It was just like you knew it was just going to be harder and more physical for some reason. It just felt a little bit different. Everybody wanted a little more.
Yeah, I just don't see that sort of easy going up and down the field. We may get that later on in the season when USC plays Washington in particular. That feels like the game that may just end up being the classic 51-48, whoever gets the ball last. But in South Bend, I just don't know if those games happen. That game against Ohio State, there's some talented offensive players on both teams. Those teams couldn't find a touchdown over 60 minutes. that was a rock fight.
That's what's so interesting, too. You just have a Notre Dame offense that's struggling versus a USC defense that I know a lot of people are on. And I just think something's got to give in this game. And by all accounts, you got two NFL quarterbacks, which this could be it'll be fun no matter how it shakes out.
We'll be there to cover it for you. 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, kick 2:30. The Trojan Tailgate Show goes on. Trojans Live is a production of USC Sports Properties and Playfly Sports. Our executive producer is Drew DeHart. Producers Rick Cutler sweating it out for us today. Ben Conroy, thanks for getting it done. And thanks to the crew. Thanks for everyone following us on YouTube. Big week ahead. Beat the Irish.
You can't spell victorious without.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Jordan. Talk to you later.
4th and 9. This is the ball game. Takes the snap, steps up in the pocket, throws for the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown, USC.
Trojans Live was presented by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Make sure to check back in next Monday night at 7 for more Trojans Live. Exclusively on your home for all things Trojan, AM 790 KABC. And follow us on the USC Trojan Media Network. Trojans Live is an